Hi everyone, it's Kathy Sweeney with Stand Up, Speak Out, Stop Domestic Abuse. I am the founder and CEO and executive director and secretary, and I'm it, besides my board. I do have a board of directors. I promised you a video series leading up to Giving Tuesday. On which day I will be doing an interview on Monica Turner's page, talking about the nonprofit and hopefully reaching a lot more people. She has over 970,000 followers, and I want to reach as many people as possible. So to start the series, I am going to tell you my story. Now, I do know that I told my story back in September of 2021, but it has been told to me by other influencers that it's good to tell your story at least once a year for new people who come to the page who may not know your story and don't go back far enough to watch the videos. So, here it is. I have dealt with, been a victim to abuse of all forms from early childhood. I was born into an abusive household. I was physically abused, sexually abused, all the abuses. I suffered them. And I thought that I had gotten over them, and I thought that overall I was doing pretty well. And in 2011, sorry about the background noise, I'm outside. I was doing laundry and sweating to death, and it's a little chilly out, so I thought it'd be nice to do it outside. Nice wooded background and all that. So anyway, in 2011, I met a man, met a tall, who I thought was gorgeous man, dark curly hair, dark skin, almost 7 feet tall, and I'm 5'8", and I love to wear 6-inch heels, so it didn't matter. I could wear all my shoes with them, and he was still taller than me. And he was funny and outgoing and intelligent, charismatic, and actually seemed to care what I had to talk about, what I thought. And we talked all the time, like for hours and hours and hours about nothing and everything, and we laughed. He was funny. He cracked me up. And this went on for several months. We actually had a place that we used to meet, and both show up, sometimes planned, sometimes he'd call me or I'd call him, and 5-10 minutes later we were at our meeting spot, sitting at the picnic table, having our conversation. And we would stay at this location long after they closed and just keep talking. And I considered us friends. I considered us good friends. I really didn't, although he was very attractive, and I did like going places with him because, as I said, he was taller. I didn't think that it was anything romantic. I wasn't even sure if he was romantically inclined towards me. So, fast forward a little bit, and it is July 4th. And he showed up at my house, unannounced, with a truck full of fireworks for me and my boys to set off. And the neighborhood that I lived at the time, they blocked off the whole street, and everybody had fireworks. So we used to just sit outside and watch. I'd get the kids little sparklers and stuff, but, single mom, not a lot of money. Didn't get the big giant go boom in the sky fireworks. He did. He came. And he spent the night making my kids so happy and having such a good time and letting my little one light fireworks, which I was not comfortable with, but they were all having so much fun, and I trusted him. I figured he knew what he was doing, and he was right there. It's not like he handed him a lighter and a M80 and walked away. He was right there with him. And we had a great time. And then, everything dies down and all the neighbors are putting their stuff away and it's time for the kids to go to bed. So I did that. I took the kids inside and I got them all squared away. And my mom was there too. So, she kind of helped while I went outside to clean up the debris from our evening. And, he stayed and he helped and he did the cleanup and we talked and laughed during it all. And then we were talking and I was leaning up against my car and he was kind of standing in front of me and we were chatting. And then there was like a normal brief pause in the conversation. For whatever reason, neither of us had something to say at that particular point in time. And he stepped towards me and he kissed me. A long, slow, romantic kiss. And I admit it. That was it. I was hooked. I was in love. He was the one. He was everything I always imagined and had never been able to find. And I mean, with the exception of a really strong fake southern accent, he was pretty much everything I ever wanted. He liked all the same things I liked, except for karaoke. Not a karaoke junkie, but he went with me anyway. He pretty much followed me around. Wherever I said I was going, he would show up, pick up the tab. And I remember the first time that I compromised myself for him. He invited me over to his house to watch a baseball game. There are very few things on this planet that I cannot stand more than baseball. And I pretty much told him that. I was like, I'm not coming over to watch baseball. I don't like baseball. I don't like watching it. I don't like playing it. I don't like anything about it. I'm not doing it. Football, basketball, boxing, sure. Baseball, no. And he said, I go to karaoke with you a couple of times a week, every week. And I don't like karaoke. But I do it because I want to spend time with you. And it's something you like. So, doesn't it seem fair that you do the same for me? And it didn't seem unfair. It actually made sense. So, uncharacteristic of me, I changed my mind. I threw some clothes on. I went over to his house and watched a baseball game. Actually, I watched him watching a baseball game, which was even less fun. Uh, and then when the game was over, a music video started playing, and he sang this song to me that I had always said the woman who this guy wrote this song for is like really lucky to have a man sing that to me, to feel that way about me would be like absolutely incredible. And I had never voiced that to him. But that song came on and he knew it and he sang it to me, staring deeply and lovingly into my eyes. So we were an item. He was perfect. I was perfect. Told me I was smart, told me I was beautiful, told me I was a great mom, told me I could be and do anything in this world that I wanted to. Not too long later, he moved in with me into my house, and I helped him restart business that he had had. Helped him, he set it up in my garage, helped him get his licensing back, uh, did all of his marketing, Facebook, helped him with his logo and words and lettering on the truck and everything. And I learned carpentry. He taught me, and we worked together. Not too long after that, though, I did finally get a job that I had been trying to get and interviewing multiple times for. And it was a really good job, and I was doing really, really well. I'm in sales and marketing, and so that's what it was, sales, marketing. And I was making incredible money, and I was making significantly more money than he was. And suddenly things started to change a little, and he started saying nasty things to me about my job and what I did and how I was earning money off the backs of people who were working, and I wasn't doing anything. Basically, I was stealing from hardworking folk, which is not remotely true. I worked very hard, and I provided very good service, and my customers were extremely happy with me and continued to sign on with me even after their original contract ended. But he didn't like it. Um, Super Bowl Sunday, 2012. We went to a party at a friend of his house and saw a friend of ours who was a female who was just in a new relationship and showed up there with him. And so, of course, girls being girls, we went in the bathroom and we were doing girl talk, and she was telling me all about him and how amazing he was and how much fun she was having being with him. And I don't know, we were in there for a while, but it wasn't the only bathroom in the house, so we didn't really think anything of it. We just continued our conversation. And on the way home, he accused me of having sex with her in the bathroom of his friend's house. And, excuse me, sorry, don't know why my phone is ringing. And of course, we got into quite a heated argument about it. And by the time we got home, he had already punched me in the side of my face and slammed my head up against the car door window. And then when we got in the house, he beat me up, down, backwards, forwards, sideways. He beat the living hell out of me, tore my clothes from my body. I was black and blue and cut and bruised and bleeding, and it was a mess. And I was a mess. And then he left. And I didn't I didn't know what to do with that. I was very confused. And all of the love bombing and gaslighting that had been going on, I guess was meant to prepare me for this. One usually thinks it starts with a push or a slap or a shove, but well, he had grabbed my throat once before, but he was really, really intoxicated. And this time, although he had had a few drinks, he was not very, very drunk. I went to work the next day, bruised and swollen, one eye closed. I spoke very garbled because my mouth was still swollen. And bit my tongue. And I explained to my bosses what happened and that I would have to work from the office until the bruises healed enough that I could cover them with makeup. And they agreed that that would be fine. A few days later, he came back apologizing and crying. He doesn't know what happened and he's so sorry. Of course, I would never do something like that. And on his knees, and he never wants to hurt me, and he's so sorry and crying. And he convinced me. And I stayed. And I still wasn't able to reconcile it all, though. Like, the man that I loved who was standing in front of me was the man who beat me to a bloody pulp and kind of smiled while he was doing it. And I was having a lot of difficulty, and it affected my work. And then when my bosses found out that I had gotten back together with him, and I was not performing the way that I should be performing, I lost my job. And he took me on as his helper full time. So, he also cut me off slowly but surely from all of my friends, all of my family. He stopped going to karaoke with me and made it more than known that he was not happy with me continuing to go. And there were often fights and hitting and pushing and a lot of throwing. He liked to throw me. He had really long arms and it was easy to throw. I wasn't eating, wasn't taking care of myself, wasn't taking care of my family. He was being pretty mean verbally to my oldest son, still at home at the time. And he was being pretty nasty to my youngest as well. And to this day, I can't explain to you why I stayed. I can't explain it to myself. I don't know. Right now, first time, leave. First time you snapped at my kids, out. Like, makes no sense to me how I allowed that to go on for as long as I did. 3.5 years. And he had me completely isolated from all friends and family. Only my kids. Who he was also not nice to, although he did not hit them. He did, on occasion, smack my youngest on the butt if he was misbehaving, but nothing anywhere like what he was doing to me or anything that you would call child abuse, although beating a child's mother and one of them is child abuse. But I didn't see it that way at the time. 3.5, almost 4 years, I stayed. And at the end of the day, he beat me a couple of times a week. I was always bruised, I was always bloody. If he got mad at me for something, he gave me the silent treatment, wouldn't let me go to work, wouldn't give me any money, didn't pay me, paid the bills that he chose to pay. And then he stopped paying the rent, and we got behind in the rent. And then he got a job in Miami that he was going to be gone a couple of months for, and I couldn't obviously go because I had kids. So I was to stay home and take care of the house and this end of the business. And he was going to go to Miami and work, and when it was over, he would have more than enough money to make up the rent that we were behind and catch us up on everything. So I talked to the landlord, who was a very reasonable gentleman, and he agreed to it, and he was really good about it. And months went by, and among several other women that he had been cheating on me with, he had a woman over there that he was cheating on me with, who was getting all of his time and attention. And when he came back, he did not pay the rent. He did not pay any bills. He beat the crap out of me. And he took the bed away from me. And he left. And 2 days later he came and he packed up all of his stuff and he drove away. And 3 days later, my landlord said, "You gotta go." So, he left me and my kids homeless and penniless and me beaten and broken and battered. I had to send my children to live with her apartment complex wouldn't let me nor the dogs stay. So me and my dogs lived in my Jeep for a while. But then one of the dogs got sick and my mom talked to the office. And so the office would let the dogs stay and the office would let the kids stay. But they couldn't have another adult in a one-bedroom apartment. They would not allow it. It was not allowed to stay. So, for a year, I was homeless. And then finally, thanks to a friend, I was able to get into a house and get my family back together. And January 31st of 2015, my ex-boyfriend pinned me down in my driveway and punched me in my head and face over 40 times. Every time he hit my face, the back of my head bounced off the pavement, so every hit was 2. Strangled me, basically tried to kill me, and almost succeeded, actually. I have brain damage, nerve damage, tissue damage, an already fragile spine was destroyed even more. I am now permanently disabled. And he did 10 months in county lockup on a misdemeanor charge. So, I still struggle, not gonna lie. I have my days, especially when my kids ask questions and they want to know why or what or anything. And I don't have answers because I don't understand. I know the brainwashing, I know the gaslighting, I understand all of the things that were done to me to make me complicit to the abuse. I do, I understand it all. And I understand other people when they say, and I tell them not to blame themselves because it's not their fault. And I try to tell myself the same thing. It wasn't your fault. But at the end of the day, at any time I could have said no, and I chose not to. And I still don't know why. So, with the little bit of help that I was able to get, basically counseling at the shelter, and I had an amazing counselor for 2 years, and then she had to leave. She left the state. I healed. I got better. And I get better every day. I have good days, I have bad days. Emotionally, I have good days, I have bad days. That's everybody. My older son left at 19 and has not spoken to me since. Well, no, that's a lie. He's spoken to me twice. Pretty much told me I suck. doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And a little over a year ago, I started Stand Up, Speak Out, Stop Domestic Abuse. And I want to change the face of domestic abuse for all victims and survivors. I want to change lives. I want to change the narrative. I want to make differences in the judicial system and the way that the police handle things and the way that survivors handle things and the way that victims aren't able to get out. And I want to make a difference. And so far I am. I'm making a difference. We're still working on a building. Still working on funds. Really, 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 really need funds. Really need a building. But I'll tell you more about the nonprofit and where it is and its vision, where I want it to go, in one of the next 2 videos. So, that is my story. And it's a rough one. It's pretty graphic. I was going to show pictures, but I've decided that that's a little too triggering. I've put pictures up of myself already, so if you do want to see them, you can go back in time and see the pictures. If you don't want to see them, don't. That's okay. But if you're here and you're watching this, stop by the Facebook page, which is Stand Up, Speak Out, Stop Domestic Abuse. Follow the page and support us and the people that we help as much as you can. That's all. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.